Hello, my name is Gene Monterastelli, and I am the editor of TappingQA.com. And the video that you are about to watch is an interview that I did as part of the 24 Hours of Tapping. The 24 Hours of Tapping was a free event, which was a fundraiser for the Peaceful Heart Network. The Peaceful Heart Network provides training and trauma relief tools to those in war-torn countries, as well as working with refugees all over the world. They've been able to help out over 200,000 people all over the world. After you watch this video, if you find this video something that was useful, the very easy way that you can say thank you to the guest for giving their time and sharing their expertise is to go to 24hoursoftapping.com/support and make a small contribution to support the Peaceful Heart Network. Again, that is 24hoursoftapping.com/support, and I hope you enjoy this conversation. We have a conversation with my friend Robin Bilazarian. Robin is a licensed clinical social worker, she's a diplomat of clinical social worker, a diplomat of energy psychology, a psychotherapist in private practice, and an AMET international EFT trainer. She's the author of Tapping with a Mighty Mind back in 2018. One of the things I love about Robin is she is a practical person who is working in a professional setting. She works with people who are, serving those in emergency rooms, serving those who are on the front line in very, very rough neighborhoods. And she's in a situation where she has an opportunity to talk to us today about the way that we can transform. That title is wrong. We made an error on that. We're going to be talking about how we can release pain. Here is my conversation with Robin. So just out of curiosity, before we jump in, what originally got you thinking about and wanting to spend some time thinking about tapping for pain? Is it just because it was available to tapping and it was something that you were working with clients, or was there something else kind of personal that kind of led you into this particular conversation?
Honestly, it's because I watched CJ Poitin do something at Spring Energy event, and I just went, oh my gosh, that is just not hard. If you know EFT, it's just not hard. And I believe that prior to COVID, that the largest problem in America was the opioid epidemic. And I did indeed have 3 clients that had lost their children. Young children, not children, 20-year-old children. Yeah. And the pain of sitting with them as they're trying to work through their grief was such that I thought, this is just not hard. And if we can have an alternative to pain, or alternative to opioids, and we can have an alternative, even something, because when we take them out of rehab, into relapse prevention, if we don't do something for their pain, they're going right back. And so this to me felt like a very safe, simple alternative.
Great. So then when you are introducing this to someone who is not necessarily tapping fluent, because in a circumstance like this, where it's not like a tapper is looking for something to add, more than likely, if we're stepping into a setting like that, they probably don't have that as a starting point. How do you start with them before we start talking about specific tools and techniques? What does the introduction look like?
My introduction is very fast. I talk about what EFT and tapping can do is it can rebalance emotional dysregulation. And what's unique about tapping in the psychotherapy world, which is where I live, is that in the psychotherapy world, we never pay attention to body. We never pay attention to body. We talk about thoughts, we talk about the emotion, and we never talk about the physical manifestation of those emotions in your body. And so we never talk about the tight throat and the pressure in the chest and the pain in your stomach and all that stuff as being an emotional representation of stress. And so I will explain to them that what's different about EFT and tapping is that we're working with simultaneously with thoughts, emotion, and the physical manifestation of those. And those three come down very quickly, which obviously eliminates the motivation to do coping things that are non-beneficial, drugs, alcohol, overeating, whatever you want to put in there. And so what it does is it quickly rebalances you, takes down your emotional content, so that you think better. And actually, if I can, since we're visual, I believe that when your emotions are high up here at an 8, 9, 10, that your brain, reasoning power, personality, and problem solving skills are very low down here at a 0. And what EFT does is it inverts it so that your emotions are low. And so you're thinking your prefrontal cortex is really operating optimally. And so you're thinking about stuff. So here, I might slug you if I'm pissed off.
Right.
Here, after doing EFT, I might say, hey, I'm overwhelmed. I think that I can't deal with this right now. Can we table this and talk about it tomorrow? Okay, which is, a whole, it's where I want to operate. I want to operate up here and not work from raw emotion. And that's true for pain too. What's interesting about pain is, and EFT is, when I lecture nationally, I teach them 5 ways to manage pain. I talk about 4, and I tell them about the 5th, which I never use because I never have to. I take it down in the first 4. But pain technique number 2 is actually doing EFT on anything. Anything. It's a side effect or it's a byproduct. It just comes down. And so I will say to a client may show up and say to me, I don't want to work on pain today, but I do have a problem. And my problem is that I'm closing on my house tomorrow. And I'm worried about this young banker. I don't think this young banker has his act together. And it will be very expensive for me if the banker blows the closing.
Right.
So I ask him, what's your pain? 0 to 10. It's a 5. I don't want to work on it. We calm down, worried about the young banker, 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 using the EFT until they get to a 0, 2 or below, and what also happens, and this, Jean, when you bring someone down from a 2 or below, what happens is they have a wonderful spontaneous insight. And their spontaneous insight, a cognitive shift, if you will, is, oh, he's a young banker. I'm going to call his supervisor and make sure he gets it right. And they didn't know that because they were so emotionally clouded. And so after I take down the emotional issue, I'll say to them, where's your pain? And they'll say, oh my gosh, it's gone.
And so, it's funny. Yeah, it's funny you say that about like taking that piece away and giving that insight. I spent a calendar year of my life with a big pink eraser in my pocket. And every single time I touched the eraser, it was a reminder, your only job is to erase away the things that are unuseful. And you spoke directly, like we bring this down, all of a sudden, bing, insight shows up, which is always there. We just couldn't access it because of the emotion, the physical, whatever's going on in that moment.
Yeah, because we remove the emotional cloud. And for those of us like myself who run anxious, and I do run anxious, okay, you upset me about something, I'm just all emotion, physical, whatever, no prefrontal cortex, nothing's happening here, okay. And Van der Kolk talked about that. He talked about when the broca part of your body, which is language, goes offline under extreme stress or trauma, and it's offline, and I can't find the words until I calm myself down with EFT and tapping, and then I can find the words. So anyway.
Well, as you say that, there's a workshop that I regularly do for parents that is about the adolescent brain, and it's called What Were You Thinking? Because when a teenage boy does something wrong, the adult boy goes, what were we thinking? And the kid goes, I don't know, because he doesn't, because again, he simply does not have access to the thinking part of his brain. Like you said, it's just offline. And so like he's not being smart aleck. He doesn't know.
He doesn't. No, you're 100% right. Yeah, no, you're 100% right. So
yeah, talk to me about some of the approaches then.
Okay, so back to pain.
Yeah,
What's really interesting is, and I would like in this workshop to show you 4 ways to manage pain. Okay, the simplest one, and I just am going to do this going simpler to more complex. Okay,
great.
simplest one is if you can find the pinky in your hand and you trace it to the back into the back of your hand. Find the small finger and also find the ring finger here. In between that is soft tissue or webbing. And to lightly take 2 fingers and lightly lay them there. Now, I'm bound by a camera, so I've got my hand up like this. But when I'm not bound by a camera, I drop it on my gut and I make it very relaxed. I'll drop it on a
So it's like
table.
sitting on like this, and it's just sitting on.
Yeah. I can actually show you this. I'll drop it on a table. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. Put that down, drop it on a table and very relaxed with it. This here is from thought field therapy is called the Gamut spot and point for depression and physical pain. And that makes sense to me that it's the same point because I know if you kick me in the shins, I'm going to cry. And I know if you break my heart, I'm going to cry. So those two are wired together. In addition, in the psychiatric world, they use a lot of this depression medicines to manage pain. And there's one that's actually FDA approved, and that's Cymbalta. And Cymbalta is FDA approved for both pain and depression. And my clients that show up on one, I'll ask them, did you get it from your psychiatrist, from your neurologist for pain? And they'll say, I've got both. And that's what the docs try to do. Okay. So holding this very lightly. And when you do this, what you want to do is rate your pain 0 to 10. So let's say your pain is a 7, and then hold it for a minute or 20 breaths, which is the same thing. Okay. And then see if it comes down at all. So if it was a 7 and it comes down to a 6, just stay with it. If it doesn't come down at all, then you go to one of the other techniques that I'm going to show you soon. Okay. Personally, I do all dental treatment holding this. I am not a hero. I'm not. It's not like I have a high threshold for pain. I don't feel pain. I do indeed feel touch and sensation. I know they're touching me, but they're drilling. They're doing all kinds of things to me. And my dentist walks out going, you're the best patient I had. And I was nervous. And I'm like, no, I'm okay. I'm good. And he knows what I'm doing. Okay. Yeah. Kind of thing. So,
and in Chinese medicine, that would be the triple warmer, that they actually have that associated with an organ.
it is the triple warmer. I've also been told that it's possibly the hippocampus too. Okay. Possibly. Yeah. And so anyway, it is. Yeah. Thank you for that. So that's pain technique number 1, and obviously do the simplest one too. Okay. Pain technique number 2, I talked about already. Do EFT on anything. And it's a side effect or a byproduct. Now, why is that? Well, let's be honest, okay? What are we doing when we're tapping or activating, light touch, activating these things? We're using acupressure. Acupuncture, exact same theory base. And in this country, acupuncture is absolutely approved by insurance companies for pain. So if we're using acupressure, why wouldn't it come down as pain? And it just does. And again, in psych, we ignore looking at the body. We don't pay any attention to the body. And the body, I've heard it said really clear lately that all emotion is expressed in the body. And so, yeah, so it's good. Okay. So,
and for me, like you're talking about that being in the body, for me, like when I'm working with my clients, I start with a physical sensation and then have them interrogate the physical sensations for 2 reasons. 1, like you're saying, the information is there. And 2, we're creating a little disassociation. So I'm asking my body and I'm not intellectually figuring it out. So I'm actually clearer in understanding it. And so for me, the first place I always go is in the body, because that's the place we're getting the information from the subconscious mind. And as you say that, just a tap, like I would encourage folks that are listening to this, like you don't even have to be tapping on something specific. You know, I spend time every single day at the beginning of the day and the end of the day simply stimulating the points. Like I'm not paying attention. And as I do it, my attention might drift to physical pain or whatever. But when you say just tap, like you have permission just to tap. And it's not even like you need to tap on your boss because you have a pain in your lower back. Just like tap, and you're going to feel that coming down.
You do. You just, it's like a whole rebalancing act, and it just kind of rebalances your system and puts it back. And I'm sure you know, there are people that are doing EFT for humanitarian relief all over the world in places that they don't speak the same language. Okay. You know, we've got those fabulous Swedish psychologists, Peaceful Heart. Okay. Fabulous, fabulous. Okay. And they're all over the world and they don't speak the language, and just the tapping. And you watch the changes on their clientele from terror to laughing and to smiling, and you can see it without language. So it's really fabulous. Okay. So
and as you are listening along, all of you, down in the little red strip that is scrolling across the bottom, you have more information about Peaceful Heart, because that's why we're doing this today, is to raise a bunch of money for those awesome Swedes.
They're fabulous. Yeah, they're really fabulous. You know, they have a couple of videos out. One is on tapping and the other is on havening. And I when I speak nationally, I show them because I think that those videos could be used in debriefings after horrendous events in this country too. After a shooting, and they're fun and they're funny and they're lighthearted and they're singing and that in and of itself is therapeutic. Plus you throw in the tapping. So anyway, yeah, let's support them tremendously. I'm certified in that one too. I'm certifiable, but I'm certified in the trauma tapping technique too. Okay. They're wonderful. Okay. So again, this agenda is because I think pain takes over people's lives as it intrudes. And so you never have to think about what your pain is because it's just there. Pain intrudes all the time. Okay. So pain technique number 3. I had the very good fortune of being trained by C.J. Poitin. And C.J. Poitin, hers, I think it's taptheworldeft.com. I might be wrong on that, but it's something like that. Tap the World. C.J. is this wonderful, wonderful woman who writes a lot of books in the EFT world. She writes some for Gary Craig too, who's our founder, if you will. And C.J. did a workshop, which I attended through Spring Energy event. And she did what I'm going to show you in a minute. I've adapted it a little bit. CJ, and not just CJ, a lot of my EFT colleagues are a lot more elaborate and use more creative language. I'm kind of a minimalist. I kind of like, what is the least I can do to get what I want? Okay. And that's where I am. So anyway, I watched CJ do this and I went, that's not hard. It's not hard. You just have to focus on some parts of pain. And so I watched her do this presentation, and because of the opioid epidemic, because of my 3 mothers, if you will, client who had lost their 20-year-old kids to the opioid epidemic, I went, we need to go mainstream with this because EFT can be very, very helpful. Oh, one aside, okay. So I spent the last 14 years working as an employee assistance counselor in a level 1 trauma hospital, working with staff. Okay, and I took away the back pain using EFT of the head of the pain management program. Okay.
That's awesome.
It's really awesome. He's giving epidural shots. I'm tapping with him in his office. Okay. And his pain went to 0. Okay.
That's awesome.
But anyway, that's awesome. Yeah. But anyway, so CJ did this technique. And what CJ asked a lot of questions. She asked what color. You're trying to kick the definition of the pain into sort of a sort of a metaphor, but into what color is it, what shape is it, how big is it? And she was asking questions that come from NLP, neurolinguistic programming, if you will, their submodalities. Well, I kind of shorten that, and I just asked for the metaphor, which I'll show you in a second. You don't happen to have any pain, do you, Jean?
I do, as a matter of fact. I mean, it's not the worst thing in the world, but I do have a little stiffness here in this right side of my neck. So yeah.
Good. Good. I mean, isn't that terrible when you're saying to
Yeah.
someone good for pain?
Yeah.
When you're
Yeah.
doing
I find that all the time. People are like, that's horrible. I'm like, that's great. I'm like, no, it's not great, but we have information. That's great. The information is great, not the pain.
So Jean, tune into that pain in your in that crick or whatever you've got going in your neck, and go there for 5 seconds. And 0 to 10, how bad is that right this second?
It's like a 3.5 or a 4. It's not the worst thing in the
Like
world.
a 3.5.
Yeah.
Okay, 3.5. That's fine. Okay, so I'm down to asking 3 questions. I'm going to do this with Jean. I'm going to ask him for the metaphor. I'm going to ask him what the pain is trying to tell us.
Mm-hmm.
Also going to ask him for the emotion of the pain, not him. Now, let me tell you what I'm doing, because I'm going to do it in a second. When I ask for the metaphor, metaphors are more powerful than straight language. And I asked David Feinstein why. David Feinstein's a PhD psychologist that writes in our field tremendously. And he explained to me that a metaphor is a picture that goes to both sides of your brain and is a straight shot up to the amygdala. And the amygdala is a pain center as well as being an emotion center. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm looking for that. The other 2 are questions that are just a little bit dissociated, Okay. So Jean, with that, you are now my subject. What as you think about the pain that's in your neck or the comfort that's in your neck, if it was a picture of something that we could see, what would it be a picture of? And
so go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, it feels like it's the length of the muscle. It feels like a really thick rubber cord that you can tell can stretch a little bit, but it's hard for it to stretch. And so it's actually being stretched a little bit. So it's not like elasticy like a rubber band, but there is almost like the amount of stretchiness that like a tire has. Like there's a little to it, but not a lot to it. So it's kind of like a cord that's running the length of the muscle that way.
Okay. And what I started to do is to backtrack for a second. I just wanted to remind the audience, a metaphor is like, instead of saying that it's raining heavily, you would say it's raining cats and dogs. Just so you know, it's more of a picture. And the reason another reason why metaphors are more powerful is it allows people to put their own spin on things. Okay. So Jean and I could both say that this week has been like carrying Atlas on our shoulders in terms of busyness, and yet Jean's life and my life are very different, and we would both get heavy week, got it. And so you can put your own spin on it without people saying no, it wasn't. Anyway, they're really fabulous. Okay, Jean, question number 2: if your pain could talk, what would your pain say to you?
It's just saying too much this week.
Too much. Yep. And the last question is, what emotion does your pain have? Not you. What emotion does your pain have?
It's sadness.
Sadness. Okay. By the way, if you ever get stuck on that last one, which some people do, I will often ask them the counter question, and I'll say to them, is your pain happy? And they quickly say, no, it's sad, it's angry, it's annoyed. I mean, whatever it is. Okay. So I'm going to use CJ's protocol. CJ does the setup statement 3 times and then goes through EFT twice, rounds of EFT. So follow me if you will, Jean. And as you know, you're going to echo what I say. Okay.
Yep.
So even though I have this pain in my neck. And it feels like it is a rubber cord.
And it feels like a solid rubber cord.
Solid. You know, I couldn't read my writing. Solid. I had no idea what that word was. Solid rubber cord.
Solid rubber cord.
And it doesn't feel like it can stretch.
It doesn't feel like it can stretch.
And the pain is telling me just too much, doing too much.
I'm just doing too much.
And the pain has some sadness. I'm a good person. And it's how I feel right now. Even though we're going to do, that's one, we'll do another. We'll not do it twice more. Even though I have pain in my neck. It feels like a solid rubber cord. That's struggling to stretch. It's telling me doing too much.
And it's telling me that I'm doing too much.
And the pain has some sadness.
And the pain has some sadness.
And I'm a good person.
And I'm a good person.
And that's how I feel about this.
And that's how I feel about this.
So one more time, even though I have pain in my neck.
Even though I have pain in my neck.
And it's somewhere between a 3 and a 4.
And it's somewhere between a 3 and a 4.
It feels like a solid rubber cord.
It feels like a solid rubber cord.
That can't quite stretch.
That can't quite stretch.
My pain is telling me that you're doing too much.
My pain is telling me I'm doing too much.
And my pain has sadness.
And my pain has sadness.
I deeply and completely love and accept myself.
Love and accept myself.
So that's 3 rounds of this, of the setup statement. We're going to do 2 rounds of just shortening it we're going to alternate Jean's words. This pain in my neck.
This pain in my neck.
It feels like a solid rubber cord.
Feels like a solid rubber cord.
And it's having trouble stretching.
And it's having trouble stretching.
And it's telling me I'm doing too much.
And it's telling me I'm doing too much.
And the pain has some sadness.
And the pain has some sadness.
This cord in my neck.
This cord in my neck.
It's like a solid rubber cord.
It's like a solid rubber cord.
And it has sadness.
And it has sadness.
This pain in my neck.
This pain in my neck.
Feels like a solid rubber cord.
Feels like a solid rubber cord.
My pain is too much.
My pain is too much.
And it's got sadness.
And it's got sadness.
This pain in my neck.
This pain in my neck.
Feels like a solid rubber cord.
Feels like a solid rubber cord.
That can't stretch.
That can't stretch.
It's telling me I'm doing too much.
It's telling me I'm doing too much.
And it has sadness.
And it has sadness.
Yeah. Jean, tune back into that.
Yeah.
Neck. And go there for 5 seconds. And 0 to 10, where are you?
Oh, I can't notice it because now I'm noticing the tension other places. You know, it's that
okay.
classic kind of that classic sense of apex effect where it's diminished so much that it's no longer the priority in my physical experience.
Actually, let me just do one thing and then I'm going to say something else too. Okay. Jean, tune into pain in your neck.
Mm-hmm.
And where is that 0 to 10?
Like it's a whisper of what was left.
Okay,
so less than a 1. I can still feel it, but it's, yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to call it a 0.5 if you don't mind. Okay, that it's still there. Okay. Mm-hmm. Gary Craig told us pain moves. He called it chasing the pain. Did your pain move someplace else?
Well, and so it doesn't feel like it moved someplace else. It was more of just like, oh, I'm noticing the other things that are going on in my body that were less than that. So it wasn't like it jumped from here to there. It's like, you know, it's like we turned down the lounge stereo so I can now hear the lawnmower, like that sort of thing.
So we're gonna go back to the pain in your neck for a second. Keep in mind, I've actually been doing EFT tapping and also thought field therapy before that for 26 years, okay, in mainstream mental health. But so I know some tricks from thought field therapy, if you will. Thought field therapy came first. EFT was a simplification, but there's a few of them that I can't throw out because they're just good. So let me just show you another one, okay? Yep. If you will, this is called a floor to ceiling eye roll. And then basically
all the time. I love this.
Perfect. I'm basically going to take Jean's eyes from the floor to the ceiling for about 6 seconds. And if Jean and I were in the same room, I would just have him follow my finger. But what I've done is sort of a virtual adaptation. The way I see 20 clients a week. I do presentations 2 a month, and I haven't done anything live in 2 years. Okay. Everything's virtual, telehealth, if you will. So Jean, if you will, I talk people through it this way. Would you look at the floor for, this is eye movement, not head movement. Keep your head relatively straight. Okay. So Jean, if you look at the floor for 1, look at your computer or cell phone for 2, look 3/4 of the way up the wall for 3, look at where the wall and the ceiling meet for 4, look at the ceiling for 5, and look straight up for 6. And let go of all that. And let go of all that. And tune into that pain in your neck. And 0 to 10, where is that now?
Like a 0.25.
like a 2.25. Okay. So this is a 6-second intervention. And I don't mind repeating this 3, 4, 5 times because I got 6 seconds for anybody. Okay. Yeah. So if you will, look at the floor, head relatively straight. This is eye movement, not head movement. Look at the floor for 1. Look at your computer for 2. Look 3/4 of the way up the wall for 3. Look at where the wall and the ceiling meet for 4. Look at the ceiling for 5, and look straight up for 6. And let go of all that. And tune into that pain in your neck.
There's nothing there.
Nothing there.
Yeah. Okay. And so when I love using that as well. Typically when I do it, I have people tapping the collarbone the whole time. And then I do floor to ceiling. I do clockwise 3 times, counterclockwise 3 times, and then I imagine doing a tennis match. So your eyes are again, eye movements, not head movements, where you're zipping back and forth. And anytime we get to something that's a 2 or less, like this is how we snuff out the embers. I absolutely love this sort of eye movement stuff added in.
Yeah. I like it too. And it, amplification, Yeah, it's good. Yeah. It's good. Yeah. Okay. So pain technique number 3 is what I got from CJ Poitin, and she is taptheworld.com, because I want to give her credit. I did simplify it. I go after 3 things. The main thing I simplified is going after a metaphor as opposed to what shape is it, what color is it, size and all that kind of stuff. But this is CJ's protocol.
And you can actually see right now CJ's website screening across the bottom there. So you'll be able to go find that really easily.
Perfect. Yeah, because she's fabulous. She's really fabulous. And I trained extensively with her. Okay. So those are 3. Okay. Those are 3 techniques. Yep. The 4th technique is something that the audience should know. Jean helped me with a lot. Okay. The backstory is this. It's called the brief energy correction. And the backstory is that I was doing a live demo in front of 75 people on pain, and I got squat. I got nothing. I did all my tricks. I got nothing. Okay. Pain was a 6. Pain. I did this. I did that. I did what I just did with Jean. I got 6. And I got 75 therapists staring at me. So I went back to thought field therapy and pulled out of my hat something called the brief energy correction, which I'll show you in a second. It's 5 points. It's very fast. And she dropped 4. And I did it again, and she dropped 2 more points, and her pain was gone. And this is about 5 or 6 years ago. And I went, that's amazing. Okay. So what happened was, John D. Whitus and Jean absolutely run this amazing conference called the Spring Energy Event. And Jean is a tech wizard, if you don't know that. And I told Jean what I wanted to do. I had half an hour, and I had about 130 people in the room. And Jean helped me with the questionnaire. And then after we did the questionnaire, 20 minutes after the presentation, Jean handed me my one and only spreadsheet of all the results. That was a miracle. Jean. That was a miracle. I've never seen one before. And with that, I also belong to ACEP, the Association for Comprehensive Energy Psychology. They gave me a wizard, Mark Hux, and she wrote it up. She says I helped her. She wrote it up. So this is peer-reviewed, published research, which is fabulous. Okay, and you can find it by look up brief energy correction, and it will bring up the research, and it'll bring up a demo of me showing it to you again. Okay, so this is one hand on your belly button, and I'm just going to stand and show you that. Okay, actually, I might just slide the computer too. My belly button's about here. And just leave that hand there. It's now frozen. Okay. So before I do this, Gene says he feels other things in his body now. What's next, Gene? What's next in your body?
Other side, it's not up here, but it's kind of back on the shoulder blade a little more.
Okay. So tune into that to give me a rating.
Well, now it's taking care of itself. Lower back right side, I got some tenderness and a tinginess. Again, about a 4.5 or a 5 down here. So
that's pretty high.
Yeah.
Yeah. And by the way, Gary Craig calls that chasing the pain. Okay. And my experience has been, because I've done it a lot, my experience has been that honestly, pain just moves once. I do have people where it moves 2 and 3 times, but honestly, it's not like you're chasing this one, then that one, and that one. It's not those wampums that you bang it,
Yep.
they keep coming up. So he's got pain in his back right now. So Gene, one hand across that belly button, that hand is now frozen, okay?
Mhm.
And I'm going to trust that you see that and your hand is frozen there, okay? We're going to spread our fingers and go to both sides of the collarbone. And we are holding it for 1 breath. Under the nose. Under the lip. And Gene's doing a bit of an exaggerated breath. I don't. I just do it, just kind of a normal breath. This hand is going behind your back toward your tailbone, but comfortable. Some of my clients, I watch them do something that's really awkward in there. I don't want you to do that. Just go toward the tailbone, but comfortable. Okay. So I think this is about 6 seconds too. And in that research, Gene, we did 30 seconds 3 times. So we're going to do 30 seconds, which means we'll probably do this 5-ish times. And I'm going to talk while we're there because you can talk during this. And you notice I don't even really have Gene focused on that pain under the lip. Okay. And I may get nothing. And if I get nothing, then I just move to another technique, and I'm okay with that. By the way, when I work with people, I never say, I will take care of this. I often say, let's try, let's see what we get from this. Okay. Yeah. So I want to tell you why I think this one is quite powerful. Okay. So we have one hand that's across our belly button, and that indeed is hitting 5 or 6 meridians. A lot of the meridians end right around the belly button, an inch up above, an inch below, the whole bit. Okay. When we are here, we are hitting the most major meridian. This here is called the governing vessel. This one starts under the nose, goes up through your head, down through your spine, and into your tailbone. The second most major meridian is here. And under the chin, if you will, Gene, just stay with me for a second, okay? Under the chin. This is the second most major meridian. It actually has 2 names. It's called the central vessel. It's also called the conception vessel because, yes, it does go straight down the front into your private sexual area, okay? And then we're hitting the governing vessel again. So in EFT, which is very powerful, and I do EFT all the time, but I have these in my back pocket when I need them, okay? I have these in my back pocket, but in EFT, we're hitting 1 meridian at a time. And acupuncture, they don't do that. They put needles in a lot of meridians. They're yin and yanging it all over the place, okay? And I just wonder if reason that I get power out of this particular technique is because I've got 5 around the belly button, and then I'm hitting these major meridians, as I told you. Okay. I want to show you one I didn't explain to you. Okay. I explained the others. The collarbone is the kidney meridian. As you know, everything gets flushed through the kidney. So we're hitting kidney meridian, governing vessel, central vessel, and back to the governing vessel. And I just wonder if that's why I get so much out of this. We'll do one more, Gene, because in talking, I truly lost count of how many we had done. And I was hoping to do 5 or 6 so that we do it for about 30 seconds.
That.
Okay.
Yeah, because I mean, at this point, I'm just relaxed everywhere.
If you will, Gene, tune into that back pain that you had that was somewhere between a 4 point and 0 to 10.
There's nothing there.
Nothing there. Okay.
Yeah.
So 2-0. So I know I was talking, and so we probably did it more than 30 seconds. Maybe we even did it for a minute because I was trying to explain what I was doing. But in a minute, we just quieted the body down. So that last one, again, the brief energy correction is something that's my go-to when things are not working. Okay. And and occasionally it's my first line. So by review, the 4 things that I've shown you is holding here. And I told you I do dental work here. doing EFT on anything, even on a bank closing, and there's a side effect or byproduct. We did the one using a metaphor, and we took Jean's neck pain from a 3.5 to a 0. We did the brief energy correction, and we took him from a 4.4 to, we took him down 4 or 5 points. Okay. And I just want to pause here because I should have done this at the beginning. I do just want to put a warning out in terms of working with physical pain. Please understand that what I'm doing with people and what you're doing with people is not medical treatment. We are strictly pain management. And so if somebody has new pain, I always tell them they have to go to their doctor first, because pain has a purpose. It tells you don't use this and check it out. So if I have knee pain, it's telling me go see an orthopedic and don't run. And so, make sure your people are connected to a doctor that has evaluated the cause of the pain so that they can get treatment for the pain. But as soon as they're on pain management, send them to me. Okay, send them to you.
And that's the reason why I like the word complementary. It's not alternative to the things that we're normally doing. It is a complement to the things that we already have access to. And so it's good and useful in that way.
Yeah, I agree. Okay.
Awesome.
So the fifth technique that I didn't talk you through, and I never need it, but the fifth technique is what a lot of my colleagues are doing, and they are looking at the cause of the pain, meaning, so let's say it's back pain from a car accident. Okay. That's where it came from. And they're taking down every emotional aspect about the pain that happened about the accident, what happened with the police, what happened in the emergency room, how the insurance, and they're taking them all down. And that is another way that you can work with pain too. And I see it successful as a lot of my colleagues.
And I think that one thing that's really important is oftentimes the emotion we have about an issue is kind of like a hard candy shell around the issue itself. And so for me, I like starting with the emotion about the issue before we go after the issue. Before I have a client who's in a lot of pain, I'm like, great, how do you feel about the fact you're in a lot of pain? Great, let's take a few minutes and just get you down out of the frustration, out of the disappointment, your body's letting you down, then stepping into these awesome tools and it's almost just kind of take the top layer off, then it gives us a chance to go in there. But like you said, these are all so simple, so elegant that you can just do them. 2 of the 4 of them have that. 3 of the 4 of them have no words involved in them. So you have to figure out the right thing to say. You can just tune in and go after your system in that way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's interesting. I wonder, I don't know, but I wonder if we need words at all. I wonder if it's just the acupressure stuff.
Oh, absolutely.
The Peaceful Heart folks are doing that. Gwyneth Moss of EFT Guild says let the tapping do the work. And so who knows if we need words at all. But
awesome. Excellent. Yeah. Well, Robin, thank you very, very much for your time and your insight. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, enjoyed it. Take care, Jean.